Let's take garbage and make it shine. This whole project is asinine. Waste some time with me, I can guarantee this old junk will soon toe the line.
We're polishing turds, mediocrity curd. I can't find the words, this song is absurd. We're polishing turds, we're polishing turds.
All right, welcome back to another unbelievably exciting episode of Real Good at Doing Stuff, Polishing Turds. It's probably the world's most exciting TV show, and you're fortunate enough to be able to view it on the YouTubes. Before we get started though, you guys asked for Polishing Turds shirts and merch and whatnot, and we have delivered. As of today, we've got Polishing Turds t-shirts with my with yours truly on the back with big weird cartoon googly eyeballs. So we got this in gray or in black, depending on what your style, but those are available on the website. I'll post the link in the description. But anyhow, let's take a look today at valve jobs. We're gonna valve job Cody's heads and get these things ready for big boost. We got to get boost in and get it out. And on the blower deal, a lot of times getting it out is actually the more important deal. Generally speaking, usually when I port heads, I most times like to do the valve job first. I don't know if everybody does it that way, but it kind of all revolves around the valve job. So I usually do the valve job first, port work second. And today we're going to do the valve job, but before that I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to kind of demonstrate or try to explain what we're doing with the valve job. The first job of the valve job is to seal the cylinder, both intake and exhaust. We got to seal that thing when the valves are closed. It's got to seal so we don't leak combustion pressures. But the other thing that we do on a race head is the profile of that seat that we cut in there helps with flow, both in and out. So we have to pick a cutter that we're going to use to do the valve job based on our cylinder head design, based on the chamber, what we're trying to do. So let's take a look at these profiles and try to pick something that's going to help our situation and talk about why we do that. Then what you see here is kind of an expansion or explosion of the seat profiles that we're going to cut in Cody's heads here, small block Chevrolet heads. On the left side, we have a representation of what you might see kind of in a stock style cylinder head, or a more mild aftermarket head. Like if you order a set of heads from Brodix or Trick Flow, Dart, or whatever, and they're kind of unported cylinder head, it may have a valve job kind of similar to this, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. In some cases, that may be the best way to go. But for what we're trying to do, we're going to be doing a lot of port work and whatnot, and things are going to change a little bit. And we're also, this is a race application, so we're not as much worried about, you know, going 200,000 miles without doing a valve job, that type of thing. So we're going to take some liberties here, right? So to explain what's going on in stock form, the red is your valve seat angle, right? This is the area of the cylinder head that the valve actually touches and seals on. It's 45 degrees, pretty self-explanatory. Now in a stock application, this will be kind of broad area, and the valve may only touch on maybe the middle part of this. There's a lot of times there's area above and below that's not touched, right? Now above that, we might have our top cut, or I call it a top cut, is a 35 degree angle, right? And the job of that is to start blending things into the chamber, airflow wise. This one is the only one we're used for sealing. These others, you've heard of a 5-angle valve job, a 3-angle. This is what a lot of times I would call a 3-angle valve job. Pretty crude, does the job. Top angle in this case is a 35. So 10 degree difference from here to here. On the bottom side, inside the bowl, inside the port, we have a 60, a long 60, right? And this works fine, but like I say, in our application, we're going to try to improve things a little bit. Now, this is a representation of probably pretty close to what we're going to try to do on Cody's intake seat. We're going to stand the seat angle up to 50 degrees, right? We're going to recut the valve seat, or the valve itself, and get rid of the 45 and make it a 50. Stand this seat up 5 degrees, and that's going to allow us, that's the kind of the center point of what we're going to do with the other changes in the profile. All right, now out here we're going to have a 46 instead of a 35, right? So this the top angle, the chamber cut there, is a steeper cut, and this also is going to work. The chamber design comes into a big play here, right? And a small block Chevrolet 23 degree head has a pretty steep chamber, right? So it helps a little bit to steepen this up, and there's less of an abrupt change right here, right? We're going to blend into the chamber a little easier. We got a 50 degree seat, and if you'll notice, this is a little narrower. There's less waist on either side of the seat angle. And then we're going to 65 on the inside for a little bit, and then 75, right? So we got more angles here. And the net result is, one of the things we're going to try to do is expand the throat. Let's say the throat is 1'900", right? Well, we may be, in the porting process, we may be trying to get that to 1'950" or 2 inches, or whatever number we're trying to come up with. This is kind of big dumb angles, right? And by merely doing this, we're going to saw some of this off, right? We're going to clearance some of that throat area out just by doing this, without even touching our grinder yet. And you can see this just kind of looks a little more racy. We're coming up straight into the chamber. The downsides are 50 degree seat's going to wear out before 45 is, right? But in a race application like this, that's really not much of an issue. But anyhow, this is 50 degree seat racy profile, kind of a pedestrian, standard, run-of-the-mill street or milder profile. Nothing wrong with it, but in this case, we're going this direction because Cody wants to go fast. All right, now let's take a look at the exhaust side of things. Same principle, but a little bit different application. exhaust side of things, same but different. All right, a lot of times your even aftermarket cylinder heads, but the exhaust seat, the cutter they use, or the profile may be the same, right? So it may look just like this, and in this case, they probably look very similar. 45-degree seat, top cut's probably gonna be the same, and big dumb inside cut. You know, it's not necessarily dumb because the throat doesn't require anything, you know, more radical, but I call it dumb anyhow because that's how I am. Over on the exhaust side, the changes we're going to make, all right? A lot of times, and in this time itself as well, I'm going to stand the seat angle up from 45 to 55. So a full 10 degrees steeper seat angle, right? And when you do that, you increase wear and whatnot, but in a race application like this, it's just rarely an issue. I do it on all kinds of stuff and I really don't ever have any problem with it. So we're going to go to 55 here. Our top angle is going to go from say 35 to 50, right? There's only a 5-degree angle of difference between your seat angle and your top angle. By the time at the cutter, we'll have a little bit of a radius right here to bring you up to 0. The biggest difference between these intake profiles and the exhaust profile is it's very common on the exhaust and works very well to have, after your seat radius, we don't have an angle. We've got, or after the seat angle, we don't have any more angles. We just have a radius, right? And a lot of times I think it'll be technically like a compound radius. The radius will change as it comes in. There's all kinds of methods of representing what that is, cosines and tangents and stuff I don't know anything about, but just understand that it's quite common on the exhaust side to have a radius here and no angles. That works really well. And once again, especially on the exhaust side on a blower deal, what this allows us to do is get this throat diameter larger. And on a blower deal, in my opinion, that's what that motor sees, is the size of that hole when that valve pops off the seat. It says, hey, we got a bigger hole to get out of, let's go, right? And if you can get it out, you can get it in, right? So that's the name of the game. But anyhow, that's the changes that we're going to make today in the seat and guide machine as we do Cody's valve job. And you're thinking, all right, well, how are we going to do all this? This doesn't make any sense to me. You're just drawing the lines on a board. All right, well, these lines are the profile we're going to use, or the representation of it. We're going to shrink this all down and put it on a little itty bitty carbide cutter. And the seat and guide machine will use that cutter to scrape these profiles into the valve seat. So let's take a look at that. All right, now we've got Cody's heads in our seat and guide machine, and we're going to do this valve job. And the way we're going to do this is we have these little carbide bits or cutters, what do you want to call them, and basically they have that profile that I just showed you kind of miniaturized, and that profile is on the face of this thing. And this machine's going to scrape a small amount of metal out of here, and we're going to transcribe this to that basically. And anyhow, this is how that goes. that's about enough of that bull mess. We got our valve job pretty much done and ready for the fun part, which is grinding. And that'll be probably on the next episode of Polishing Turds. In the meantime, if you like looking super snazzy like me, you can go to HeraldEngine.com for merch, and we'll see you soon.
Polishing turds. Mediocrity kid. I can't find the words. This song is absurd. We're polishing turds. We're polishing turds.